It's going to be a fun one, today's talk. Welcome to Soul Cleaning with Chang, and I got a haircut. um, this is how I look like almost all my life, and that long hair thing was a not a very brief, but a stint in, it was an experiment, but I just cut it away because now I know that um, short hair, long hair doesn't really change much, especially in the context of being a shaman and being connected to the higher guidance and whatnot. And the title of today's video is a reference to the session I had with a client, a shamanic session this morning, and it's what came out. And I think it was a brilliant line. Just take off the bear skin and just be a bear. uh, Although I can't divulge what really went on in that session because it's a client private matter. It was basically all about reclaiming our power, and I noticed that I have been talking a lot about power in this channel recently, and knowing that everything in my outer life, as I said in a video yesterday, is a mirror of my internal state. The powerful soul that I work with today is also a reminder of how much power I had. And at this point, I've had hundreds of these client sessions using multiple modalities. And I was just giddy. This was the most, potentially, the one I had this morning was potentially not potentially, I literally told her during the session that this was the most exciting. Um, because I literally felt the power coursing through my body, and power actually was a very prominent part in her profile, using the human design and gene key profiles that I use in my practice. And also, power is a big part in my chart as well, because that's what I lack, but what if I were not careful or conscious enough, what I would be chasing all my life. That's what they need. That's what I need. But obviously, I'm complete without it. But being a bear, turns out her spirit animal was a bear, and it came up pretty early in the session. What I In my practice, I've done this oftentimes enough to know, even when the client says something that goes against what I'm feeling intuitively, I know better to trust my own intuition rather than what the client is saying. And the reason why I just said that was, in the beginning, when I told her about that bear thing, and I thought we needed her to assume the full, not just position, but uh, become a bear, shapeshift into a bear. in imagination, of course. The first response I got from her was that she felt gross. So there's some details. Maybe I didn't use the exact word that I needed when I asked her to be in a bear skin, feel her inside that bear skin. That was my first instruction, and that's when she said it felt gross. But I was very sure that she was a bear, or her spirit animal is a bear, and because we were talking about her reclaiming her power to be her individual unique self, I knew we could use some shapeshifting so that she could feel inside a bear's skin. And that's why I used that term. And later on in the session, as we went along, she felt her power coming back into her power being a bear. She explained to me, she said it felt gross because she was imagining her human body under a bear skin. And when she just transformed fully into just being a bear without a human body, just bear, that's where she felt fine and more natural. And that's when she said, in our conversation during the session, that's when she said, just take off the bear skin and be a bear. And I thought it was a brilliant line because we need to choose one between being a bear or being a human. Okay, to take that metaphor a bit further, we can't be satisfied fully by compromising, playing something in between, trying to play bear under a bare skin, a dead skin, while inside you're still a human. So, because this is what I work with as symbols and archetypes, so don't take what I'm saying too literally. But if this message was meant for you, you will know. You'll know that's what you need to do. And I'm very sure she's not the only person in living on this earth among, I don't know how many now, but 8 billion people. She's not the only one who has a bear as her spirit animal. So it's gotta be millions, potentially like tens and hundreds of billions of people who actually need to stop playing bear under bear skin, but fully transform, shapeshift into a bear. There was another example, and this one's even more particular, which I call a dragon lady, the dragon lady. And well, I don't have prior permission from either of those people, but I think I can just keep her identity private, but talk about what really happened during the session. I met her in that certification program in Compassion Key. The modality that I got certified in recently, uh, a spiritual healing practice. And because the certification program had people who were either working as healers already or who were aspiring to become one, she had her practice. She was the one. She was from a from the former group who already had a practice, who was seasoned somewhat around this spiritual subjects, and she was very love and light kind of person. But because we got paired up to practice and do session exchanges as part of the certification program, she worked on me, and then I worked on her in separate sessions. A dragon came up, and it was the same thing basically, because that dragon living inside a woman's body, a human female body, felt constricted and it didn't really fit into the whole picture. In that, well, I know I don't want to categorize a whole species, such as dragons, as a certain way or not, but at least in her particular case, it felt very fiery, and it felt like it had a very different moral code and emotional makeup than what you would think of a traditional spiritual healer would be. Love and light, especially that kind, that variety. It was fire. It was like, I'm here to do what I'm here to do, and I don't care what anybody else thinks. So, in a sense, in that dragon lady's case, she was actually playing a a dragon under a human skin, but it um I didn't feel like it was really working in her life. So I asked her whether she could just let that dragon take up space, and then in our shared imaginary space, I could see a huge expansion in size, just a different presence in terms of dimensions. A huge um, creature. And to come back to the session I had today, the central theme was she was either trying to play human or play bear with just bare skin, or just be a bear but in a space where no other humans will get in the way of her being her full bear self. And what we worked on today was we needed to uh, reconcile those two parts and start being confident in being a bear among other humans. And of course, that will freak other people out because I could feel she had tremendous power just living inside her. And that's what made others around her on a subconscious level threatened by her presence. And if you're still watching this and still listening to me, chances are you have a similar makeup and you can relate to this kind of experience. We need to make certain compromises, and those don't have to be conscious ones. It could have started that a pattern of compromising, dimming our lights, not speaking up, not asking for what we want, could have started very early on as a defense mechanism, as a survival mechanism. Because when we're little, that's we need to go along with other big adults around us. But it's time to stop playing, to stop playing bear, and really be the bear that you are. The fact that other people have trouble coping with you being a bear, that is their problem, not yours. And overall, I just really had a lot of fun working with her doing that session. And it was probably the first time that I could say I love what I do and really mean it. And this person that I had a session with today, she's the first real referral that I had working as a professional shamanic healer. And it's interesting, seem to be attracting people who are on the brink of a big transition. You can even say breakthrough. And on the deepest level, the breakthrough comes from within us and it ripples outward. So, on the deepest level, all breakthrough is self created. But also, our consciousness needs to do some catching up. Because the blockage between us living now, the now version of us, and the future us that's on the other side of that breakthrough, the gap or the blockage is almost always an emotional one. And it doesn't have to be that we need to do work on us. We need to do emotional inner work on a specific traumatic event, although it can be that. But this case today, this morning, was not that. We only worked with archetypes and symbols, and that was pretty powerful. That worked as magic. And so it all depends on where you are, what kind of previous work you have done, and this client, fortunately or not, she has done a lot of that. So if you want to, if you feel like you're on the brink of something and you think you can use some prep work to prepare yourself, your conscious part of yourself, for what's coming, then I can work with you. And there'll be some on my channel page. There'll be an email address through which you can reach me. But otherwise, even when we never end up working one-on-one professionally, I want you to consider what it means to throw away that bear skin and just be a bear. All right, I thought this was going to be a lot longer than this ended up, but this is a natural cutoff point. So thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.